we're coming up on 1 year since Joe Biden was elected president, and national political correspondent for Politico, Ben Schreckinger, is out with a new book, The Bidens, Inside the First Family's 50-Year Rise to Power. Ben, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Joe Biden has been on the national stage in some form for nearly 50 years. Your approach to writing this book was to focus on understanding his extended family and the role they've played in his life. So did anything surprise you in your reporting about the Bidens that the public doesn't already know?
Thank you so much. There were a lot of surprises along the way. One of the big things that was sort of consistently surprising to me as I was reporting on the Bidens, both for Politico and in the course of researching this book, were the number of business dealings that relatives had over the decades that raised questions at the time or are raising questions now about possible conflicts of interest. And I thought it was worthwhile and fascinating to sort of integrate what I was learning about some of these more sophisticated business dealings with the sometimes folksy image that we have of Joe Biden and his family.
And of course, we've seen the very public tragedies his family has faced over the decades, including the recent death of his son, Beau. How much has that shaped the narrative around Joe Biden's life and his political career?
Oh, it's been absolutely crucial to shaping his political identity. His real introduction to the American people came just a month after he was elected to the Senate, when his wife and infant daughter died in a car crash. Their story and that loss was sort of seared into the American consciousness 50 years ago. And the fact that he lost his son, Beau Biden, as he was contemplating a run in 2016, once again sort of bookended in many ways what people thought would be his public life. Obviously, he's now had this last chapter, but they're very important to understanding Joe Biden and important to understanding the connection that he has with a lot of voters who have experienced loss in their life and feel that they can relate to him.
Absolutely. That's exactly what we've seen. Now, in the book, you write about something President Biden has dubbed the Delaware way. Let's put up a quote. You see it there. I'm going to read it. At a Democratic fundraiser in Dover a month before he entered the 2020 presidential race, Joe suggested Washington could learn something from his home state. We need a little more of the Delaware way, he said. We've got to make it more the American way. Our politics has become so mean, so petty, so vicious that we cannot govern ourselves. Now, Ben, just explain what Biden means by that and how it shapes his approach, and also why some critics may not view the Delaware way as a good thing.
Yeah, the Delaware way is crucial for understanding Joe Biden. It's a less acrimonious form of politics. Delaware is a small state. It's a relatively genteel and staid kind of a place where people tend to get together around a table and make decisions in a consensus-based way. There's not a lot of partisanship, or at least historically there hasn't been. And Joe Biden is saying that this is a recipe for how we can fix the culture of Washington. But it's important to keep in mind, as you pointed out, that the Delaware way has its critics in Delaware. They say that it amounts to cronyism, that it's a place where people know each other so well that conflicts of interest get ignored. And most fascinating to me, there was a federal prosecutor who put away a Biden campaign bundler about a decade ago. And in a filing in that case, he defined the Delaware way as a form of soft corruption. That prosecutor is David Weiss. He's the U.S. attorney in Delaware now, again, overseeing a criminal investigation of Hunter Biden.
And Delaware, of course, we know, a place near and dear to the president's heart. We actually just heard him reference it a couple of times today during his trip to Connecticut. Now, let's talk about the president's son, Hunter. He has come under scrutiny both for his personal life and for questions around his foreign business dealings, which you delve into in your book. One of the sources of questions about Hunter Biden during last year's campaign revolved around an alleged laptop of Hunter's and its reported contents. ABC News has not independently corroborated details on the laptop, but what did you find in your reporting for this book about that?
I was able to corroborate some parts of this cache of leaked files, including a couple of emails that were at the center of the New York Post's initial reporting that was so controversial last October. One in which a Ukrainian businessman affiliated with Burisma thanks Hunter for an opportunity to meet his father. Another one in which there's a proposed equity breakdown for a venture that Hunter Biden was embarking on that appears to have been aborted, that includes line 10 held by H for the big guy. Now, the Biden camp has said that Joe Biden never met with Vadim Pisarski, the sender of that first email, has said he's never considered having a relative hold equity for him in a venture. But I was able to corroborate with one person who had independent access to Hunter Biden's emails for a time that those emails were genuine. And I was able to corroborate a few other emails that were not at the center of controversy, but were in the cache. In one case, or in a couple of cases, by talking to people who had corresponded with Hunter Biden, who said that, yes, these are genuine communications. And in another case, by obtaining some emails from the Swedish government under Sweden's Freedom of Information law that matched correspondence that Hunter Biden had in his laptop from his time when he had an office in the Swedish embassy in Washington. And so the Swedish government was effectively his landlord.
And we should know that message was sent in 2017, right, when Biden was not in office or a candidate, and there's no confirmation whether Joe Biden was aware of anything involved in that conversation. But, Ben, we know there's an ongoing investigation by the Justice Department into Hunter Biden's taxes, looking at some of his foreign business dealings. In your view, could the questions around Hunter's impact Joe Biden's presidency and his agenda at all?
I think so. As I wrote this week, Joe Biden is positioning himself as a global anti-corruption crusader. The New York Times editorial board back in 2015, when Hunter Biden was working for Burisma, pointed out that his work for this company, which was under suspicion of corruption in Ukraine at the time, threatened to undermine Joe Biden's anti-corruption message there. Now that he's the president and taking this anti-corruption agenda global, this Burisma episode, lingering questions about it, and other episodes that I discuss in the book, in which Biden family business partners are convicted here in the United States on corruption charges, or their dealings raise conflict of interest questions, do threaten to detract from that message.
Political correspondent Ben Schreckinger, thanks so much for your time. And his book, The Bidens, is available wherever books are sold.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.